Welcome to Martial Arts and Medu Neter. In this session, let's talk about some Medu Neter, divine words or divine speech. And let's just do it. I always advise beginners, and I'm a beginner myself. I'm not a professor on hieroglyphics. I'm learning just like you. But let's learn together. Let's first start by learning simple words and building our vocabulary. Simple words, words that put a sentence together. You can't understand a sentence unless you understand simple words. First, words like the, on, in, you, her, the tenses, she, they. You have to learn the simple words in order to put a complex sentence together and to understand it. Later on, you get into conjugations and get into a larger vocabulary. But let's start by learning how to write simple words. We can start by the word and. In Medu Neter, ancient Egyptian language, the and is pronounced henna, henna. So we would start with an H. Here's our H. It's either a twine or rope or a hemp ladder. And then a N, henna, would be a water wave. And then we need the sound for and that comes from an arm. Say arm, hen, So we write an arm like that. So it's not the best. I'm not the best scribe in the world. This should be more squared because they like squaring on their words. But there's the H, the N, and the A. Henna for the word and. So you can say Isis and Nephthys went to a town. Isis and Nephthys dwelt in Amenta. So you have to have the word and to create these ideas. And you need the word the. Sometimes the word the was assumed. They didn't write it down. It was assumed that you knew it. But lots of times they use the word the, and it's spelled with a bird flying. And that represents the sound pa. But then they're going to write it out alphabetic next to it. It's kind of redundant, but they're going to do it. They're going to put a P, which is a square, and again the arm. So the arm is and the P is like Peter, pa. And so this says like twice, pa, pa, pa. So that's the word the. Simple word, but absolutely necessary. And the. Then you need the word in. So the word in is a water ripple. And sometimes they'll use in certain texts, it could be a M. It could be a M symbol. So the letter M. But usually it's the water wave. And this it can also mean two. And then the word no is used a lot in template prayers for like a couple of thousand years. They keep using the word no in the first sentence of these template prayers where they say, I know God. The word no in hieroglyphics is, which is pretty amazing that thousands of these Africans, the first thing they say in their prayer for death is, I know God, I know him. Very spiritual people, the most spiritual people I've ever studied in my life on the planet. They far exceed all the religions of today. They live every day in a spiritual state. But they use the word rek. That means no. So when they say I know, it would be rekua ah. Rekua ah. So the word rek is an R. So it's a R, and then it's going to be a ka. So that's going to be a cup. A cup for the ka sound. It doesn't matter whether you call it a C or a K. It's the same sound, ka. So it's a mouth and a cup. And that means rek. And it means know. To know or to reckon. Like the day of reckoning, check yourself before you wreck yourself. You better recognize. They knew that that was one of the most important things to our consciousness, was to recognize reality or to recognize your enemy. If you don't recognize your enemy, you're at the mercy of your enemy. You're running around like a bull chasing the red cape of the matador, and the cape can't hurt you, but you keep stabbing at the cape. It's the matador who's going to kill you with a sword. And so that's a lesson on how important it is to understand recognition, to know your enemy, or to know reality, or to know a program. When you're getting programmed on a television program, you're sitting there, your child is getting programmed to hate himself. He's getting programmed to love and respect and to deem holy someone who doesn't look like him. He's being programmed for Superman, Captain America, Thor, all these superheroes. He's being programmed to appreciate the Queen Elizabeth, Queen of England. He's being programmed to hate Africa, to think of mummies and apes and King Kong and jungles. But he's being programmed. So this word rekoa has to do with recognizing that your condition, recognizing who you are, and recognizing knowing God. So it's very spiritual word to reckon, but it's also simply means to know. So again, henna means and, pa means the, rek means no, and in means in. Our next words that are easy, simple words for our vocabulary is the word things. In the Medu Neter hieroglyphics, the ancient Egyptians used the word ket for things. And they would spell it with I call it a Q-like letter, and then a T. And this ket means things. Some people pronounce that get. Don't get caught up. Do not get caught up with pronunciations, because they're estimated to begin with. They're not exact. And one person's interpretation of pronunciations from Yale would be different from somebody from England. And then Europeans like to control things by creating nomenclature. So you read an advanced book on hieroglyphics, and this professor or this person says, I'm going to create a nomenclature system where I can control what you think. So it sounds like this. I won't even use the alphabet. I'm going to create some scribbles and say, it sounds like that. So forget about that for now. As a beginner, do not get caught up in nomenclature. And it don't worry about whether it's pronounced Tim2 or Tim2. Don't worry about it, because it's the consonants that count, and all you really want to do is get an understanding of what it says. Don't get caught up in nomenclature. Just get an understanding on what it says in your mind. If you want to pronounce it cap or cappy, cap or cappy, they're both right. Don't get caught up on that. And there's lots of people on YouTube, I'm sorry to say, who are caught up on that. Don't get caught up on the pronunciation. You want to understand what it says. So whether this is ket or get, it still means things. This word is all, and all is written with just one symbol normally, and it's called neb. And when you're working simple, you can learn a lot. Say, well, that's neb, and it just simply means all. It means all of that. All the marbles, all the spaghetti, all of that. And it's written this way. But it's also can have a different meaning connected to it. I have to figure it out myself, because neb also means Lord. Well, that's the connotation that you get from, Egyptologists. It means Lord. However, as an Afro-American, you can kind of get it in another way. You can say, no, that really means that I'm the king. I'm all that and a bag of chips. I'm all that. I'm all. And when they talk about God, they say, no, God is all. He's all. He's everything. He's the universe. He's everything you see. God is all. And then the Arabs, of course, adopted that, and they go, Allah, Allah, Allah. So the language, it makes sense. They're not just saying we're using the word to mean all. It's also used in a divine way, which means it's either the king or God himself is all that. Okay. Then the word Ankh, people really confuse that word a lot. I can't believe that they do. People keep saying that Ankh means some type of women's feminine parts. It's some type of woman thing. Ankh means woman, or it represents some women's body parts. And this is modern ideology that did not come from ancient Africa. It did not come. It's modern kind of feminism that was created here, popped up here about 20 years ago. And one person tells the other person tells the other person. Next thing you know, you got thousands of people. It's as bad as the Anunnaki, the lizard people. It just doesn't make sense. There's nothing to support it, but the people believe it. So the word Ankh, from all the reading that I've read, all the readings I've done in directly primary research, secondary research on the Ankh, it means life. And it means life likeness or image, life, likeness, mirror image, living, lifelike, reflection of life, or reflection of the image, like a mirror. They used to make mirrors that were shaped like an ankh because it was like your living image or your likeness. But in most cases, it just meant life. And it's in many, many, many names. Never does it refer to a woman. It's in King Tut's name, Tut Ankh Amen, the living image of God, the likeness of God, or the reflection of God. It does not refer to a woman. So these errors go on and on and on. People speculate, people have dreams, and they start saying what things mean. But let's just keep it simple. Let's not start going into metaphysics and start dreaming and saying this means all of this. It doesn't. Ankh is written